Hey folks, we got the new Canon R5C here. I've had a couple weeks to test it out. Let's get into the nitty-gritty about what I liked, what I didn't like, and hopefully by the end of this video I'll know if I want to keep it or not. So I'm usually a pretty optimistic guy and I try and work with what I have, but this camera really was sending up some red flags to me, and I'm a run and gun shooter, and this camera really wants to be plugged into an outlet, wants to have dedicated power, lots of power. I mean, you're getting a crazy image out of this thing, and so of course you need the high octane energy. So a battery grip is definitely a must with this thing, or a cage that has some type of holder for your external battery. Because as you can see here, these little Canon batteries are just so small. I would charge them up, it'd take like an hour and 15 minutes. You pop them in and it would register for 38 minutes of shooting time. And when I was out in the field getting shots with this thing, it was dead before you know it. So you have to buy a lot of batteries for this, unfortunately. And these Canon batteries are $70 each, or a battery grip is another couple $100. I mean, it's getting really expensive just to power up your little new toy. It always sucks when you get a new toy and you don't get batteries with it, but it also sucks when your new toy can't even last very long for you to play with it. So that's one huge red flag for me. I'm using the Panasonic S1H that we're shooting on right now, and that battery will last for an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. I was just able to shoot a whole 4K concert that went way over an hour and a half and used just one battery. I mean, it was amazing. So I wish Canon had come out with some more optimized batteries for this thing. And that's kind of a theme of this R5C. It just feels like they wanted to release something. They wanted to release something with fans to get over the overheating problems. So then here we are working through all these weird issues and weird problems. And speaking of weird issues, another thing that I was constantly going back and forth on was CF card to SD card. I thought I could get away with just shooting on a really fast SD card. I got this new Lexar, brand new, touted as extremely fast. When I popped it in and was shooting in 120 frames per second, of course I'm pushing it, and I would only be able to film for maybe 10 minutes before I started getting a warning that the buffer had overrun. You switch it over to CF card though, which is a more expensive and faster medium, and it had no problems. And so I was able to shoot on the CF card a lot, which is a bummer because CF cards are expensive, and I had to also get a reader to just be able to check out my footage. I was never able to get a network connection going with this thing. I was never able to plug in the USB-C and find the footage. It never just would pop up on the computer. You had to do all this other stuff. And if you've ever used Canon apps, you know that they haven't changed for the last 12 years. I loaded up all these new apps for it, and I was like, this looks exactly like the apps I was using with the old XF100 and XA10, you know, like that was 12 years ago, and they haven't updated any of the apps, so they all look the same still. I was like, wow, Canon. Another problem I had with the SD card was just shooting time lapses, extended long interval time lapses when I was pushing it to 5 seconds, 10 seconds a shot. I would keep getting that same buffer overrun warning, and the camera would just shut off. You pop your SD card into the computer and it says that there's a problem with the file. You put it back in the camera, it says it needs to try and fix a file. It's just one of those pain in the ass things that your camera can do. And you don't want it to do it all the time. Like, maybe once in a while if something happens, yeah, it's great that it can recover these files, but when you're just trying to shoot a time lapse of the clouds, it was like dealing with a little fussy baby. You know, there was always something going on, something wrong, you had to switch something over and just try and work with it. And this is an expensive piece of gear that should be super user-friendly and not let you down. So that's another thing that just kind of got to me. The CF card, SD card dilemma. So I mentioned that it felt like Canon came out with this really fast, and another sign of this is that there's no good way to get your XLR ports into this nice new hot shoe that they offer. All that's available right now is a Tascam XLR hot shoe, which I have. Let me grab it. So here's this Tascam CA-XL-R2D, and ordered this. It was on back order. It said it wasn't gonna get here until October, and then all of a sudden one day it's coming in the mail. And I pulled it out. It is big. It's big and it's heavy, which I like. With sound gear, I need my stuff to pass a weight test. I don't want it to be plastic, flimsy. I want some metal, I want some heavy gear in here. So popped this on and I was able to get a signal for maybe 5 seconds, and then the accessory would turn off in the camera and I wasn't able to see it anymore, and I would get this accessory not available at this time. So that's another thing. I was like, oh my gosh, now this isn't working either. Even B&H called, they're not gonna help you much, but at least they were saying you probably got a defective item. And so these are on back order right now. I'm sure they're gonna figure out something. Other third parties are gonna come out with a compatible XLR connector for the R5C or for these new Canons that are coming out. But this I had no luck with. I was able to bring the Go system, a little 1/8 inch. It's got a 1/8 inch mic port here. I was able to bring that in and at least get some type of sound, at least be able to change the meters and hear something, use the headphone jack. But you're using, a $150 microphone for a $6,000 camera. It just seemed kind of silly. So I hope they figure that out. We're recording this video in the beginning of May of 2022. So hopefully by the time you're watching it, they'll have more options. So that was just one more red flag that was sent up, but it didn't really matter because by that time I was already on the fence about this camera, keeping it, using it for gigs. I just did not really trust it. But I always try and find the silver lining in these things, and one exciting thing about this camera is that this is kind of a glimpse into the future. We are going to be shooting 8K footage from now on. So we're going to need really fast CF cards that can handle all this information, especially when we're shooting at these crazy high frame rates, slow-mo, all that stuff. It just eats up a lot of data. And fortunately, technology is going straight up in the Moore's Law right now, and we're gonna have some crazy new mediums coming out, whether it be CF card C, D, or some new type of SD card altogether, but it's gonna be able to handle all of this information that these cameras are pushing out to us now. So that's exciting news. And I did enjoy using this camera. I enjoyed being back in the Canon ecosystem and the Canon vibe. The footage looks great. I mean, the footage I cannot complain at all about. The footage is phenomenal. When you nail it, it just looks great, and you feel like you've really gotten your money's worth with this camera. So if you can figure out the power situation with this and you don't have a problem with that, if you just want to keep this plugged in somewhere, or you have an idea for a cage system to get your battery in there, you're gonna love the image that this fussy little camera will get you. And you're gonna work around the SD card versus CF card. You'll just shoot on CF card because you don't even wanna mess around with the SD card. There are ways to make this camera amazing. But for me, I'm a run and gun type of shooter. I do a lot of live events. I need something reliable, something that is not gonna let me down. And I'm looking forward to the future of cameras. If this is what we're looking at, things are gonna be looking good. If you wanna check out some more footage from the R5C, I got a request for 60p 4K footage. I got that up there in the corner. And I also shot some slow-mo, time lapses, and other stuff, which you can check up in the corner as well. So thanks everyone for watching, join the channel, and I'll see you at the next one. Take care.